So you may be wondering, people like Tanki Classic, people as a matter of fact love Tanki Classic, but why are there people out there that hate the idea of early access bundles for that particular game? Well, we're gonna get into that in just a bit, but before that, if you want to see more videos like this in the future, like the video and subscribe, and now let's get into it. Well, first of all, something I'd like to clarify is that this video is not biased towards the idea of early access bundles being bad or anything of that sort. This is going to be completely a balanced analysis of the current situation. So first, let's look at the fact that there are different sorts of early access bundles. They allow you to test the game before its release. They allow you to have a certain paint that no one else can have in the game at any point. They allow you to keep a nickname that no one can take from you before the game releases. So there are a lot of advantages. However, people still have a problem. Problem is, why are you charging us for a game, for an early access of a game that is not meant to be pay to win at all? Now, first of all, my own personal opinion on this is that it's a game that needs to be funded somehow. So I'm not really against the idea of these early access bundles for Tanki Classic, because let's say if 1,000 people do buy this early access bundle and there's like a $35 offer, that's a lot of money. That's like $35,000 for the team. So I don't exactly hate this whole idea of charging people for an early access bundle, because there are two main reasons. First of all, people want to play the game early and they are willing to do it themselves. It's not like you're being forced to do that. Second of all, the fact is that the team that's making the game or developing it needs some sort of funding. So it goes both ways, and if it's working out, then why not? Now, this process up until this point is pretty good. Nothing too bad about this. But there are a few problems that I personally agree with and that I feel like a lot of people in the community agree with. First of all, the fact that the only way you can buy these early access bundles is by the use of tank coins. That is nothing less than a scam. Allow me to explain. The only reason why rubies were released in the game as a new currency was because they wanted to differentiate between the currency purchased with real money, which is tank coins, from the currency which may be earned through hard work in the actual game. Rubies were the in-game currency and the tank coins were the currency that you could only get with real money. Now at this point in time, the development team made it really clear that any sort of purchases, whether it be in the shop, in the garage, any sort of limited offers or bundles, all of them would either require crystals or rubies to be purchased, not tank coins. Yes, you could buy tank coins with real money, convert them into rubies and then purchase stuff, but there's nothing that's gonna directly only use tank coins. So it's not always gonna be quote unquote a 100% pay to win kind of a thing. But the problem now is that this was sort of a promise, you could say, and people had their hopes up because this was a good change. And in this video that I'm putting on the screen right now, I said the exact same thing. It's a better change, even though it's a small one. But right now, the only way you can buy a Tanki Classic bundle is through tank coins. So in other words, they're basically saying, give us real money, take the bundle, there's no other way. Now I understand this. Personally, I do get why you need money to fuel a game that you just started off, but come on, I mean, you're basically lying to us at this point. And I personally don't have a problem because I've been seeing this since a long time. But here's the thing, you're basically killing your own credibility at this point because people won't trust you when you do things like this. I mean, you announce something 2 months earlier and then 2 months later you just amend your words and whatever you said earlier does not matter anymore. It's a loss for the entire community in general because no one is gonna trust anyone else. Anyways, point number 2 is that you're launching early access bundles for a game that is not even like in early access. I mean, the testing has not begun. So like if I'm gonna buy an early access bundle right now, I don't even know when it's gonna be in the early access stage. Like we're not even started with the testing right now. So you're telling me that let's say if I buy the bundle today and it's gonna, start the testing about 2 weeks later, I wouldn't know if the game is gonna start a week after that. So did I pay $35 just to play the game a week early or 2 weeks early? I'm just putting my own money at risk. I know, I understand there are other perks like the paint and the safekeeping of the nickname that you already have. Yeah, I do understand. But at the same time, it's a huge risk in my opinion. So again, I personally don't have a problem because I'm not buying the early access bundle, and to anyone that wants to buy it, you're free to do so. I'm not gonna say that buy it or don't buy it. That's completely up to the people. And anyways, people are buying it apparently because we have some news from Taspin's headquarters which is a statement from Opixra. So let's take a look at that before we end the video. Alright, so here we go. After this weekend, I have to say thank you. Thank you to everyone who purchased early access to Classica, which means Tanki Classic. On the very first day, we reached the level of support needed to lift the restrictions on the project's development. Yes, there were likes, views, discussions, and interest. But in the end, it all came down to money. That's life, by the way. That's what determined whether the project would live or die. For the first time in my 12 years of work, I've seen players collectively ignore the cheapest offer. The number of players we have now isn't just enough for a closed test, it's enough for a large scale closed test. After all these years, our dream of bringing back those very tanks has never felt more real. One day of premium. You may use that code as well. But, anyways, what this statement tells me, and once again I'll be completely unbiased, is that people may have a problem with some extra money being taken from you for the sake of an early access bundle or for the sake of playing the game early. But at the end of the day, we can't forget the fact that everyone wants this game to come back. Whether it's the developers, whether it's the players who left already, the players who are still playing. So everyone has their own stakes, even the YouTubers. And the thing is, in this entire situation, everyone has their own perspective of things. Everyone has their own level of frustration. I mean, let's say a player has been seeing these updates go on and off. Someone's been waiting for Tanki Classic or an old version of Tanki Land for a long time. They do have their own level of frustration to express, and if they're being charged money, they have their own level of frustration. Again, if the developers are working so hard and yet people like me keep complaining, they have their own level of frustration and they can address the concerns that we have. So, putting the blame on each other and just saying that it's their fault or it's my fault and all of those things, I don't think there's any point in that. At the end of the day, we're getting a game that we wanted since a very long time, and they're making a game that we wanted since a very long time. So yeah, this video has been a lot about the things that may be wrong or the things that could be right depending on how we think. But at the end of the day, my final take would be that at this point, just be grateful that there's a game coming out that you wanted to play since a long time. And yeah, let's just wait for it to come out, and then hopefully I'll be making more videos on that, and you guys will be watching more videos on that. On that note, subscribe now, like the video, comment your thoughts, and I'll see you in the next one.